Hello, happy Monday. Welcome to Merriment Mondays Live. How is your week starting off? It's noon here in Baltimore, and I had a good week. Let's get started with our magical merriment moments and see what you're grateful for, what's been going on in your world in the past 2 weeks. Let me scoot over here. So I got to go out to the museums in DC. I'm very lucky that I live here in Baltimore, just like about an hour away from all of the Smithsonians. And it's something that, because it's not in your face, you don't really think about it. But so much culture is just all crammed in together right next to each other. And my mom wanted to go because she's finally at a place where she's not working every day and not doing everything for everybody else. And I was like, let's go. We went to a couple of museums and just had a really amazing day. And another really fun day with other people was I got to host Valentine's Day at my house and had some babes over, and we did some fun activities. That's the photo booth right there that I made, some props, and we did some activities like we played Girl Talk, this board game that I thought everybody knew. Apparently that was just something that my elementary school did at sleepovers, but it's from the 80s, and there's another 90s version, and I think there's even another one now. The stakes were much lower, and we played famous women's bingo. We made some Valentines for each other and other people and ourselves. We journaled. We did some toasts with champagne. We had some snacks. It was really fun. And then the other picture that you're seeing is this parrot that I met when I went to a local florist to get everybody flowers for Valentine's Day. There were two parrots, and they live really a long time. They live longer than we do most of the time. And it was a boy and a girl, and the boy's name was Partner, and the other one's name was Margaret. And they talk, and I thought that was so interesting that they learned to talk. I knew that, but I asked, like, how long are they alive before they learn to talk? And the guy said that they were about 3 or 4 before they started picking up words and sentences and stuff. And they also throw tantrums before they go to bed. Like you put them asleep with the blanket, and they're like, I don't want to go to bed. And I thought that was really funny. Okay, so what about good news? So in terms of my good news, on the day that we went to the museum with my mom, I got to see everybody in my immediate family, which is really my family at this point. I don't have too much extended family. And I went to my dad's first, and I helped sweep and clean his house. He's not really able to do that for himself, and that was good news. And then I also got to see my brother, and I haven't spent that much time with my brother as an adult ever. And I spent like 5 hours at his house. It was such really cool alignment that like he happened to be off that day because he had already worked like over 60 hours, and it was only halfway through the week. And he just works quite a bit because where he works is very short staffed, and it was really cool timing that we all got to hang out, and it was just a lovely family day. And I also got to help him because he just moved, declutter his place. So that was quite wonderful. And he felt so much more relaxed afterwards. I made everybody order some food and nourishing food, and by the time we left, everybody was just feeling so connected and happy and taken care of and nourished. And also my mom helped out so much. She just made sure that we were all taken care of, and if there was anything that we needed, and she was just thinking ahead and just really being a matriarch and saying everything that we needed. And I thought that was such good news. Okay, and then other really good news is there's this thing, I don't know, I think it's still up, but I found it, and it's this thing called Winter Active, all one word. And it's, right now it's located in Boston, downtown Boston. And it's this free experience with street art. And you know how much I love street art. And it's not only murals or anything. It's like, not that murals are bad, you know, I love murals. This is just also interactive installations that also include elements of play and whimsy, and it's right up my alley. It's perfect Merriment. I love it. There's 16 different pieces of artwork, and it's all over the downtown district of Boston. And oh, I just look at that unicorn, look at the swing set. There's stuff that you can even ride, like these bicycles, and it's in Boston, but it's done by people who are in Quebec, Canada. So I really, really love it. Okay. All right. So also, I want to remind you that this Wednesday, I am teaching the Valentine's workshop. It's called How to Be Your Own Valentine. And in the workshop, you are getting the educational aspect of how to learn how to have a healthy relationship with yourself, how to cultivate unconditional self-love and regard. You're going to learn how to celebrate love, just types of love that aren't romantic. I know that it can feel like a lot of pressure to focus only on romantic love. And some of us don't even care about romantic love. You know, there's asexuality, aromantic, you know, there's all sorts of different elements of how we are on a spectrum. And there's also an element of education of like learning how to plan solo dates and adventures and carrying that out. And then there's going to be activities. So activating your heart chakra. There's going to be a DIY tutorial where you do need supplies. Just, I mean, stuff you can get at the dollar store, just very limited. There's intention creating, and I'm going to guide you through an EFT tapping, and what else is there? There's some PDFs. It's just a really wonderful element of a self-love ritual. And I know that there's a lot of pressure for what to do on Valentine's Day. And even if you are a couple or in a throuple or multiple non-monogamous and multiple relationships, or you are single or aromantic or asexual, like it doesn't matter. We all need self-love. And this is a good kind of reset point for ourselves to, I don't know, it's always a good reset point to inject more love into our lives. So you can find how to register for that on uncustomary.org. You can find the information right there, or you can type in the direct URL, which is uncustomary.org/Valentine workshop. You can see that in the marquee here below. It's a free workshop. There is a replay, and you do need to get signed up, even though it's free, to access the supply list, the replay, and the live link regardless. And if you are feeling kind, can you please like this episode, subscribe to the channel, like the chat, like the video, like all of it, and share this, because the more people who feel good, the more people can do good. Okay, so let's get into this week's episode, this topic, which is appreciating your body. So I talk a lot about body positivity for a lot of reasons. It's how a lot of people have found me over the years, honestly. And first of all, I think that it's a huge part of self-love. When I ask people what's the biggest thing holding them back from practicing self-care or loving themselves, I get the same answers over and over and over again. And about half of them usually include at least the fact that they really don't like their body or have a good relationship with it. And, about 30 million Americans will have an eating disorder at some point in their life. In one of the largest studies on body image, the Anglia Ruskin University surveyed over 56,000 participants in 65 countries all over the world. And they got them to complete what they created as it was called the Body Appreciation Scale 2. I don't know why they had to call it 2. And it had 10 statements on it. And they were just kind of like agree or disagree statements on a spectrum. Things that said, like, I pay attention to what my body needs. Do you agree or disagree? And I am comfortable in my body, agree or disagree. And they were just kind of 10 statements like that. And that's really how they created this appreciation scale and what they measured a lot of the study on. And overall, they found that greater body appreciation was associated with higher life satisfaction and psychological well-being, meaning that the more that you not necessarily liked your body or loved your body, but appreciated it, the better your life was and the better your mental health was. And also things that they found out in the study were that if you lived in a city environment, an urban environment, a city, that you were more likely to feel pressure to conform to societal standards of whatever we were currently deciding was the beauty norm gauged by Western culture, aka like America, right? So whatever, aka the Kardashians have decided they are saying is the current beauty standard, because you've probably seen the way that the decades transform the current body and face of women and men to be gauged as what is attractive over time. It morphs. So basically, if you live in a city environment, you feel more pressure to do that versus a rural environment on a spectrum. Obviously, there's, urban, suburban, and rural, but that's kind of what they're saying. And then, what was the other thing? Oh, just that, like, I think that the reason that, on a side note, that the reason that people in rural environments have more likely less of a pressure or more of like an internal guide, or they're able to resist that pressure, is because they're surrounded by nature, more at least, and because there's so many aspects of variety in nature that are demonstrating difference and flaw, so to speak, and that when we are able to see so many different types of elements and things, and like we can see that there's all different kinds of cats, and we can appreciate that beauty, and all different kinds of flowers and water and things, and we can be like, all these things have purpose and beauty, and how cool is that? Then we can say, well, I can have purpose and beauty and value too, whether or not I have freckles or different coloring or stretch marks or like, whatever. Like we can find beauty in ourselves without needing to conform or fit into a specific kind of box. Yeah. So those findings were really interesting. Oh, that was the other thing from that study, that the more different culturally you are from the United States, if you live in a culture or country that is functioning differently than the United States, the more happy you are and the more likely you are to appreciate your body. So, okay. So moving on from that study, I just like to kind of lay some groundwork for logic and our left brain and before we move forward, because I know that it can get a little lofty with anything that we talk about. All right, so I've also talked about how depression can be a huge obstacle for self-love and body love and appreciation and neutrality and like all of this. You can use these words interchangeably honestly. Like, I think that appreciation is a good word to start with because ultimately what you're doing is acknowledging that your body is a thing, right? Like, your body is a vessel, at the very least. If you can't get around to, if you're in a place of being like, no, I don't like the way it looks. In fact, I hate it. Then jumping into love might feel crazy. And it might be, I look at it kind of like a date or a courtship or something. Like, if you feel like you've had an abusive relationship with something, there's a trust aspect that needs to be rebuilt. And going from an abusive relationship to love in one day, or even proposing that element, is ultimately dismissive and rude and callous and strange and bizarre. So I guess the idea is just to say, well, can we acknowledge it? Can we appreciate it? Can you counter this with logic and say, well, your body does do stuff. It does stuff for you. Your body is helping you. It's creating functions that are keeping you alive. What does your body do? What has your body done for you lately? It's actually doing stuff for you lately all the time. Your body is running processes for you on autopilot constantly. Your brain and your nervous systems, all of your central systems are just like your central systems. I'm a doctor. But you know what I mean? Like, you are literally running like a machine constantly. So if you can kind of use your left brain, the logic part of you, the science element of you that wants to dispute all of this, and use it to your benefit, use your communication and your language and your logic and your words to be like, okay, well, I can't argue with the fact that I can still do all of these things. And I do like being able to read and walk and breathe and blink and see in color and kiss and, listing functions that you can do. And you can maybe dislike the way that it looks while you're doing it at the start even, but or just right now say that you will always, right? Like, that's fine. It's kind of like thinking about it as like an abusive relationship, right? Like, or a past abusive relationship. Be like, I'm not going to forgive them. It's like, okay, that's fine. But can we look at it like you learned something, right? It's like that mentality. You know what I mean? You've grown. So like, if we can apply that to this and say, okay, I might never like the way this looks. Okay, I buy it. That's fair. But can you say that you are grateful for the things that it does still? Can we start there? Now, secretly in the back of my mind, I believe that there's more available as your coach, as your merriment maker. I do believe that. And I do believe that if we start here, that we can incrementally in micro merriment movements get to a point where maybe in 5 weeks or a year or maybe in 2 days, I don't know, you are your person, but that you will be like, okay, you know what? I don't know. I've done a lot of feeling around this and a lot of embodying and a lot of moving these insights into knowing, and this knowing into doing, and this doing into being and feeling. And I might actually be considering 1% around the idea that I might not hate the way that this looks. And that's kind of all that we're asking, So that's what this looks like. That's what body appreciation is. It's a scale. And a scale or spectrum or a timeline that isn't on anyone else's speed other than yours. It's something that just kind of comes around. And if you can kind of equate that to someone or an event in your past where you have experienced a shift of feeling, of like, well, I used to not be able to even think about this in any other way except horror. I know. And then not all of a sudden, but over time, you're just like, I have a little distance from that. And then over even more time, if someone were to propose that you take 1% and consider something, the first time somebody proposes that, you might be like, I'm not willing to consider that. But then maybe the third time, you're like, I don't know, the seed's been planted. I might maybe consider that in the future. But that's the thing. You kind of have to have the seed planted and reject it the first couple times. And then you have to kind of be willing to have these seeds being thrown at you multiple times again. And that is kind of, I'm trying to think of a word other than necessary, but vital for personal development, for growth, for evolution. Because if you don't have anything throwing these seeds at you, this like thing that you're not ready for, right? And it's okay that you're not ready for it yet. But if you aren't the one that's proposing this thing for yourself, and you won't be ready for it until you're ready, but sometimes we are so close to the situation, whether it is a past situation or loving our bodies or even consider, you know what I mean? Like, because we're so close to the situation that we won't be the ones to be like, hey, have you thought of thinking about this in a different way? So that's why it's really helpful to have someone like a coach, to have someone like a therapist, to have someone like a mentor actively in your life. Because you need someone who's going to be a truth teller around you that has a different perspective and not be hurt and take it personally when you say, I'm not doing that. And then be willing to, in 2 weeks or 2 months, say, have you considered this? And then maybe you have shifted a little, or you're willing to take it in a different way. Okay. That was a tangent, but it felt necessary. So I was trying to say that self-love is a variant or just another way to look at body love, and that depression can be a really big obstacle for that, because until we really address that, it can prevent us from seeing the possibility of falling in love with ourselves and accepting who we are right now. And that also goes for our physical body, our skin, our internal organs, our functions, all of it. And until you first just acknowledge that your body is this vessel that's carrying you through life, this wonderful physical entity that's allowing you to whatever you can do still, right? Like sing, dance, breathe, explore, make love, have children, watch the sunrise. And if I just listed something that you don't have the ability to do and you feel immediate resentment towards that, that is the thing to work on, right? Because sometimes the thing is that we don't have an ability that we see someone else have. And we're like, dude, why me? Why am I the one that has this extra pain, this extra anxiety in my head, this extra symptom, or this lack of ability to make this thing, whatever it is, And I don't know, let's look at animals. animals can do all sorts of different stuff, right? Like some of them can see in the dark, some of them can swim underwater, some of them can breathe underwater, some of them can fly. And I don't know what they're thinking, obviously. I mean, maybe there's like some really grouchy beavers. Why is that the first thing I'm thinking of? That are like looking and be like, dude, I hate being a beaver. I hate it. I really just want to be able to be an eagle. I don't know. And maybe there's some, I don't know. I'm not getting into that. But my point is that I think they're just maybe happy or don't know that they're what they are, and they enjoy the abilities that they have. So maybe we are all just kind of like little mutant X-Men, and instead of really hyper focusing on this thing that you want but you can't have, or this extra thing that you wish you didn't have, how can you exist with it? How can you embrace it? How can you enhance it? How can you celebrate it? How can you, if you want, become the spokesperson for it and raise awareness for it? And also know that that's not your responsibility. You know, you don't have to do that. But you also can do that simply just by living a life that is your own without hiding because of it. You know, sometimes I feel with like having Tourette's that I have not done some things because I was scared about how it would be received on camera or on stage or something, because I never want to be distracting to other people that are trying to be entertained. And instead of being like the spokesperson for Tourette's or being somebody that like goes around and talks about it and like making that my life, because I don't have any interest in doing that. I'll talk about it. But it's not that it's uncomfortable to talk about, but it's that when I do, it makes it worse. And I think sometimes the best way for some people to become an advocate for the thing that they have that's different is to live normally with it instead of hiding it. So like being a fat person that doesn't hide and still wears a bikini and doesn't worry about it and doesn't draw attention to it and doesn't need to take like a whole, you know, roll of film, we do that still, just to justify and be brave about it, but just is also with their friends at the beach, and it's not a big deal and nobody says anything about it. It's just part of the beach trip that they're also in a bathing suit, or that when I'm talking and I'm having a tick fit, you know that you don't have to do anything. You just talk to me still, you know? I think that sometimes we miss the point about what's special about people. It's that we enjoy the diversity of it, all the different colors, all the different kinds of stripes, and instead of, like, sometimes what really bothers me about all these, I love watching or joining and seeing all the content and pictures of wholesome kindness meme groups and things like that on Facebook and Instagram and things. But sometimes I really think we miss the mark when people are like, how cool is it that this disabled person works or something? And I'm just like, what the like, why is this a post? No, this isn't anything extra. I don't really think you get it. It's like, it's just a post because you feel bad for them. Like, that's really what it is. And this is only wholesome because this person has a disability, and you've gone so far in the other direction that You don't see it. And that's not treating people with equality. That's looking at them like they're in an aquarium. And that's not it. And I that drives me nuts. Like, if there's some sort of like group effort or like extra thing that happened, then okay, like let's look at this. Is humanity actually involved? Is there an extra effort? Is there some element of humanity or kindness happening? But is it just cute because this person has Down syndrome? Like, why is this like, I don't understand. And the fact that other people don't understand either bothers me. So I want to encourage you, I mean, not only to look at that with different eyes, but to look at life, yourself, your body, as just a different set of stripes and colors. You just are. You just are, you know? And I don't know. I guess I was saying that your existence, while being a thing, can be the advocacy. And sometimes I think that that is what the post is about, of like somebody with Down syndrome is getting married. And like, that is cool. That's great. But sometimes I feel like it's leering. And I know that's a tangent too. There's so many things I want to talk about in regards to this topic. There's so much pressure about what we're supposed to be. And because the physical body is what people see first, we have less than half a second to make a first impression physically. That's what people are looking at. When people talk about first impressions, psychologically, scientifically, they're looking at you. And you might not know that fact based on research. You might not. But it's something that we know either way. And you know it because you do it. You know it because you feel it. You know it because you're a judgmental creature, whether you want to be or not. It's whether you fight against it and try to develop nuance and go against your preconceived notions or not, which is great. You are still a human, an animal, and a judgmental creature, because judgment does help in terms of safety and survival. But because you create a judgment based on appearance, that also means that you know that other people are doing it to you. And that means that there is something in you that wants to be perceived well, positively, in a certain regard. And if you are being told explicitly or covertly that the way that you are perceived based on your perception in the mirror doesn't match what is currently acceptable, beautiful, strong, worthy, successful, desirable, fertile, then there's a cognitive dissonance, which creates issues of self-esteem, which can contribute to anxiety, depression, and more. And that overrides our ability to understand at a core level this fundamental idea that it doesn't matter what this vessel looks like. It's only the things that it lets us experience that matters. And it's going to be nearly impossible to fully love ourselves if we can keep reminding ourselves of this. We need consistent reminders from other people and ourselves that this is a vessel. The experiences that you have in this body are far superior to what this vessel looks like. You know, I love fashion. I love dressing up, wearing clothes, accessorizing, expressing myself through it, and I find it fascinating that it cycles about every 20 years. And right now, the early 2000s fashion is coming back, and I'm seeing a large amount of body shaming that we experienced during that time reemerging along with it. And I think maybe it's because of how much midriff, the torso was shown, the low-rise pants, the very high crop tops at the same time. And because of that, maybe there's an extra amount of pressure to be extra fit, because so much we tend to consider it's an easy area to carry weight in the torso for everyone. But it's such a shame, because I feel like we did a really good job at taking some large steps as a society in terms of the body inclusivity and acceptance, understanding, awareness, movement. And now there seems to be some steps backward. And I'm genuinely curious about how much it has to do with fashion. I wonder how much this extra pressure to fit in fits into what's in style, and how much that contributes to externalized judgments and phobias. Fat phobia, anything. Personally, my goal is not to change the way that I dress based on fashion trends. Like, I don't really care. I wear whatever I want to wear, regardless of what's in fashion. You know, I do love when certain things are in fashion that I already love, because I get to add it to my wardrobe. Like when Y2K and 90s are in fashion, that's great for me. I get excited when that stuff's in style, because I get to stock up on it. But I know that eventually it'll cycle out of what's being in. But a bigger issue seems to be the pressure that we put on people to conform to an ever-changing body shape that I mentioned. So I guess the question is really, if you can already enjoy clothes, whether they're in or out of season, and if you can already enjoy your body, whether it's in or out of season. So we need this reminder. We need tips. You need tips. You want tips? Okay. All right. Challenge norms. Ask questions about everything. This is something that makes people a lot of money. Skincare, hair care, makeup, fashion, all of it. It's billions of dollars. It's so much money. And I mean, even right now, elementary school children are going to Sephora. So I don't, it's a lot. So I want you to consistently ask questions. I want you to try to rewrite your definition of beautiful. Physically, a physical definition of beauty. And see if you can separate it from what you've been told is pretty or handsome or whatever. Because I'm going to warn you, you can't. You can try really hard. But because you've been raised with movies and everything, you have been brainwashed a lot, into being told what is good. Now we have filters that fix our face, you know, smooth our skin. And there's reasons for that. There are, not that they're good reasons. I'm saying the ideals that we're trying to achieve usually are based on things that complement what people look like, what women look like when they're fertile. So like, even skin is usually a sign of healthy insides. So like if you are really well nourished on the inside, you usually have really even and glowing skin on the outside. If you have really blotchy skin, it's more likely that you might have like a digestive issue or something. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's not par for par. Like, it's not one for one. I'm just saying that in earlier times, our brains were taught to be like, oh, clear skin means good health, good genes. And then when we're ovulating, it gets even prettier. It gets even nicer and clearer and glowier. So a lot of makeup trends are here to kind of replicate that. Like engorged lips are like meant to indicate what you look like when you're aroused. And, you know what I mean? It's all trying to, not all of it, but a lot of standard original kinds of makeup trends and things are meant to indicate what you might look like when you're ovulating and fertile and sexually aroused. So there is some biology to this enhancement. But that also just means that we're just like, what, fertile all the time? I don't know. It's just weird. It's weird. I'm just telling you the psychology of it. Okay. So tips. Challenging norms. Why are we doing this? Why is this okay? Why is this good? Why is it good? Is it good for me? If you can create your own definition of what you think is good looking, that has nothing to do with what you've been told or what you've been shown. How much of like, okay, so like write down a trait and then I want you to trace back where that came from. So like you think, or you can do this. Think of the prettiest person that you can think of, like, or your celebrity crush or something, right? Like you can think of an archetype or something. And then I want you to pick out the reasons why you think they're attractive. And then I want you to pick one of those things and figure out why. Figure out why that's so attractive. And then I want you to trace that one thing back and figure out where is that coming from? Is that coming from something from your childhood? Is that coming from the fact that your mom mentioned one time that girls look good with longer eyelashes? Like, are we actually attracted to longer, thicker, darker eyelashes? Or would you prefer them to be red or gone? You know, I don't know. Like, if you woke up feral, who would be the most attractive person to you? That's what I'm trying to figure out. And if you can trace back these little traits and figure out, like, actually, I think that might be because I was turned on during this time, it might help you. And it doesn't mean that you have to change what you're attracted to, but it's interesting to be like, maybe I like this just because I like this movie character or something. And maybe that doesn't mean that I have to emulate that. Okay, then I want you to appreciate what your body does. So this is like literally making a list. This is a duck. He's wonky. He's wonky as hell. You know, I love broken toys. I love wonky toys. I love wonky cats. I love wonky dogs. I love wonky everything, truly. Why do we have such a problem with wonky us? Appreciate what your body does. All those functions, all the things that you can do still, or that you were able to do, or the things that you have yet to experience. I want you to go external. I want you to go action. I want you to go internal. I want you to think about those automatic processes. Start Googling stuff if you can't figure it out to get your mind going. You can get to 100. I fucking promise you can get to 100. Oh, this is a good one. Change how we raise children. The dialogue that we use, the compliments that we give. Stop telling little girls that they're pretty. Stop telling everybody that that's the only currency that we have to give the world. Stop telling little boys that they're strong. I even do it with my cats. I call my cats the girl when I say, hey, baby, and I say to the boy, hey, buddy. I don't know when that started. Like, we gender everything. I don't know. It's not bad, but it's not right either. Like, I don't know. But I want us to challenge the way that we talk about bodies. I want to become aware at a young age. I want to be truthful with children. And the compliments that we give, the dialogue, all of it. And you can also take backwards, like fat. You can challenge it. You know, I have whole posts written about that, about how if you are objectively fat, you can call yourself fat. And then when somebody says like, oh, no, you aren't, be like, what are you talking about? If I'm tan, I can say I'm tan. If I'm tall, I can say I'm tall. But then I say I'm fat and you tell me I'm not. Why? Why is that? Because it's bad? It's bad. Why is it bad? Have a conversation and watch people get uncomfortable. Spend time naked, nude, alone with your body. If you're really uncomfortable, then I want you to just like pull up part of your outfit and just get more bare with it. Sometimes it's really uncomfortable, just like some people will just wear, you know, long sleeves and pants all day and just not look in the mirror, not do anything. And it's just one step at a time. So I want you to just pull up the outfit 30 seconds at a time, you know? You just expose yourself little by little and spend time, you know, the most effort happen, or the most, nope. I'm blanking on the word. Oh my God. Okay. I don't know. My mind just went blank. The most amount of it'll be the most effective. I can't think of the right word. It'll be the most effective if you just do the work on the part of your body that is the most upsetting to you. So if it's your tummy, like it is for a lot of people, or your thighs, then just pull your shirt up and look at your tummy. Or just have it out first, you know? And do that for 20 seconds at a time. You know what I'm saying? So like, don't cheat and be like, I'm gonna do naked time and I'm gonna do it with my elbow and that doesn't bother me. Like, I'm saying like, it'll be the most effective if you, I think effective was the word I was trying to do. If you just go straight to the part that bothers you. Okay. Also, move your body. Move it. Like, we can't only have body appreciation, body like neutrality, love, if we're only celebrating like, I don't want to say laziness, but like loafing around and being like, I'm amazing and look at this loaf that I am. Like, you gotta also use it. You can't atrophy your body, you know? And frankly, when you do use your body, then you feel better about it. You feel more connected to it. You feel, you literally get endorphins. Like, I mean, it's a whole thing. And I was of a whole, like, dissociated body positivity thing for many years where I was like anti-exercise. I was not really going to the doctor. I was much heavier, and there's nothing wrong with any weight that you are, but it does matter how healthy you are. And I don't know. I think sometimes body positivity is a way to dissociate from needing to look behind the curtain, you know? A lot of us are avoiders with a lot of other things in life, like our bank accounts or our relationships and how clean our dresser drawers are, you know, and if we can just close that dresser drawer and not look at our bank account, we can just be like, it's fine. I'm not dealing with it. I don't need to know. And I was like that with my body and my bank account and my drug addiction. And I was just like, this is all fine. Like, I don't want to deal with it. And then when I finally looked at everything, I was like, it's not good in here. It's not great. Like, some of it was better than others, but it was just like, you know, I've been using these terms so that you can't touch me. You know, like, this is a disease or body positivity, or, you know what I mean? Like, I was saying these things so that I had an excuse, or I could say that, like, I don't know, like, I had a reason, something to blame. I don't know. And I just want to put that out there that, like, sometimes I feel like body positivity tends to be a label for large people because we aren't, I'm talking about me, sorry, willing to go to the doctor and move our bodies and address the issues that we aren't willing to look at ourselves, but we are somehow willing to get naked on the camera for. Like, I don't know what that is. I don't know exactly what the psychology is there. I've been thinking about it and I really don't know. Like, I don't know why we're all in this, like, similar boat where we have no problem taking pictures of ourselves and putting that online and not avoiding that level of work, but we won't move our bodies or change our nutrition or whatever. And we will advocate to the end that this is what's working, but it's not completely. If we were to combine that energy and that mindset with an additional plan of body movement and nutrition, and oh my God, it's such a different life. But unfortunately, there's something that happens where we get this label of body positivity as, like, it's the same kind of, like, toxic positivity as gratitude journaling without being aware of anything that's wrong in our lives. You know, we're just kind of like, yeah, I know all the good things. I'm going to put this on a tote bag and there's nothing wrong in my life, good vibes only. And that's not real. You know, it's not real that I was 320 pounds and saying that I was completely healthy. Like, I was actually pretty good for how much I was and for how little exercise that I was doing. Frankly, my blood work was astoundingly good for what I was experiencing and how much drugs I was doing. Incredible. But I was deeply avoidant. And I know that if I'm like that, then I see it in other babes too. And it makes me sad. And I'm still not there yet. I'm not saying that I'm fucking fixed or anything. I'm just saying there's a version of body positivity that's toxic. So don't let that be the thing either. And moving your body doesn't doesn't need to become the new addiction either. A lot of people that come out of that phase or an eating disorder move into aggressive weight training or bodybuilding or yoga or working out, and you can make anything heroin, honey. You can make anything heroin. So just moderation is boring as shit. I hate beige and gray. And that's why I think that moving your body in, like, a fun way is what's cool. Like, I just joined the YMCA, and they have different classes. You know, I'm all about having something consistent that changes. So, like, if you can do a oh, you know, I just realized it didn't flicker the whole time. The light. What did we do that's different? The fuck? All right. Anyway, so something consistent that's different. So, like, having a space that you come to every day, but then like letting what it is that you do that's different. So like you are going to exercise every day, but you take a different class, or you are going to meditate every day, but you do a different meditation. You know what I mean? Like having the container be the same, well, what's in it is different. You cook dinner every day, but it's a different recipe. Also, I need different recipes. It's getting out of control. What the fuck are you supposed to cook every night? It's too much. I don't know. How did I feed myself before I started cooking? What was that before? Okay, sexuality. I think this is going to be a long episode, by the way. Connect sexually. So if you are somebody that desires sex on some part of the spectrum or romance, then I guess I don't want to say or romance because I'm talking about sex right now. Sexual touch with a person or with yourself, but I think that in terms of appreciating your body, like starting there, then I would say to start with yourself either way. When I broke up with my first boyfriend when I was like 22 or 23, no, 24, I had never masturbated. I didn't know how to do it because we were just together all the time and I didn't know how to do it. And I had to like teach myself. I was bad at it. Now I'm fine. Don't worry. I'm good. But you gotta, if you're like that too, don't like be ashamed either. It's actually kind of normal, or not normal, but it's common for girls, women, vulva owners to not be as participatory with masturbation. And I think we should all know what to do. And there's also a ton of toys now. Just so many. So play around with that. Pun intended. Okay, another thing is judgment. And try it with other people because it'll feel like it's a challenge that is easier for you because you're like, I'm a kind person, right? Like we all want to say we're a kind person. Listen to the kindness episode. But like I always use the example of eyebrows because I was and am still an eyebrow. It's the thing that I look at on people. I let Brittany Green pluck the shit out of my eyebrows when I was like 11 and they didn't grow back and I am still filling them in and I don't like my eyebrows. I'm just serious. I just don't, I like them how they look right here because I'm using like a little fill-in, thing. I'm trying so hard to get them to grow, but the overplucking in the early 2000s was very real. And if y'all want to really do the early 2000s look, I dare you. But I don't pluck your eyebrows. It's so bad. It's so bad. We're all fine. We're all fine with our natural eyebrows. What was I saying? Okay. Because I was so insecure, I just spit on the computer, about my eyebrows. Everyone I looked at, I would be like hyper focused on their eyebrows. And Ashley Knight had such the best eyebrows. Oh my God, I was so jealous and still am of Ashley. Your eyebrows. So good. Has such good hair and eyebrows. And teeth. God, she's pretty. Okay, so, I would always look at everybody's eyebrows. And when I realized I was doing that, and I realized it was because of my own, because it wasn't like a conscious thing, I was like, well, what if I tried to stop looking at their eyebrows and look at something else? I don't even think I knew what people looked like. I was so focused on their eyebrows. So I made that like a challenge for myself. And now it's easier. But like basically when you stop trying to examine and judge and focus on the thing of other people physically, it'll be easier for you to start doing that for yourself as well. So kind of notice what it is that you're doing on other people. What are you focusing on? What are you hyper-focusing on? It might be on the same gender as you. you know? Because a lot of times we're looking at people that might look like us. Not in a sexual way, just like, I want to look like that, you know? So kind of look at that and then be like, okay, what can I focus on instead? And just give yourself a new focus point. It can be their smile, it can be their eyes, it can be like in between their head or something, and just be like, just try to redirect. And then see if that shifts your focus about the thing on yourself. And then another thing is to, I know we're trying to start at like an appreciation standpoint instead of like courting yourself from like a love bomb. But I do want you to entertain the idea, because we are also all on different parts of this journey. So you might be at a place where this can help. So I'm not going to assume anything about where you are. And you can not just celebrate your flaws, but you can actually draw attention to them. And sometimes that does work. Like, you can, I really like the idea of enhancing who we are. And don't do it in the toxic positivity way, right? Like, don't do it in a way where you put like wool over your eyes and an arrow to the other thing. You know what I mean? I want you to really become embodied about the part of your body. So ground yourself and focus and feel. So what am I trying to say? What's a tangible example of this? Like, okay, like if you hate your, like the top of your tummy, like up here, and you wanted to enhance it or say, I'm beautiful, look, you could wear an outfit that shows it, right? And then you could like even draw something on it or put stickers on it or something. And it's going to like, it's going to make people notice it. But I don't want you to just be like oblivious about it as like an exposure exercise. I want you, as you are doing it, to like have like a little courtship with it as you do it. Like, I want you to look at it. I want you to rub your hands over it and place each sticker or draw with it, and like have like a little date and turn some music on and put some oil down. Maybe not for stickers. That doesn't seem like it's gonna slide right off, but you know what I mean? Like, really connect to it and then go out and do it. But don't just like slap a sticker on and go out the door if this is something that really, I don't want you to, what's the word when people like exploit it? That's what I mean. Don't exploit a part of your body that you've not given any love to. It really is like a date. It's a relationship. Oh God, there's so much to talk about. I still have like four pages of notes. Dear Lord. Okay, this might need to be 2 episodes. I was saying that I don't assume that you're only at the beginning part. You know, you could be anywhere on the spectrum of appreciation, neutrality, like, love, whatever, enhancement. And body positivity is for everyone. A lot of times we see it for larger white women, and it's not Dove's fault. And we're getting so much better. We're getting so much more inclusive. But I also just want you to know that it's for everyone, all genders, all expressions, all races, all. I'm not listing out all stripes and colors. It's just everybody, because we're all people, and at that same time, empowerment is different things to different people. So some people enjoy covering up, and some people enjoy stripping down, literally. And there's nothing wrong with either of those things or anything in between. And whatever you feel good doing in that moment is what you decide to do. And you are also allowed to change your mind every single day, multiple times a day. Really for whatever reason, you know. I have kind of changed the way that I dress slightly over time, and it's not because I'm aging, but it is because I'm aging. Like, I'm not doing it like, oh, well, I'm 35 now, so I will. But because I'm 35, I'm different now, you know? Sometimes you think that when you age, you'll make different decisions because you're 35 or because you're 40 or something. Like, you need to dress different because of a certain way. Like, well, I certainly will stop wearing Daisy Dukes when I'm 30 because that won't be able to dress my age, da-da-da-da-da. And I will never not wear something because I am a certain age. I will never not do something because I'm a certain age. Really only like a relationship would be the only reason, not to have a relationship with someone. But I have changed my mind because of experiences that I've had as a result of aging. And that has informed certain things that I do. And that will also trickle down to clothes and the way that you show your body. And sometimes when I was in my 20s, I wanted to just rebel, and I just wanted to be naked on camera, and I just wanted to shock people and be a siren and walk around and do crazy things. And now I like being more covered up, and I'm cold more, and I am tired more, and I don't really care if I shock you because I know I can. And I just don't have anything to prove really anymore, as much anyway. So I think that trust, let's talk about trust. Trust is a big thing. Trust is, trust comes up when we have, I think for me, it comes up with mental illness and physical ailments and chronic pain in relation to body appreciation. When you feel like your body has betrayed you, it feels really difficult because you are your consciousness, right? Like, you're the one in here. The concept of subjectivity, that you have a consciousness, is mind-blowing. Like, the fact that you are watching me right now on a replay or something, like, I don't know, like, that is insane. And the fact that I recorded this in my house on a day before that, and then it's on YouTube. That was an app that used to be a dating app that changed, that then hosted the Super Bowl. Like, I don't know, there's a lot of things that are weird. Like, are you imagining this? Are you in a matrix? Are you plugged into a battery somewhere? Are we in a simulation? Am I God? Like, I don't know. I don't know anything. And I'm just talking about body love right now. So I guess this idea is that all we have is our understanding of what is currently happening and what has happened before. and how it feels inside of us, inside of this meat sack that we understand was born and will die. And yeah, I guess that when all of a sudden you start doing something, like for me, needing to turn a light switch on and off 17 times before you leave a room, or rub your foot over a carpet 8 times, or fix every single VHS tape in Blockbuster until someone carries you out screaming, and you don't really get why. You feel weird. You see other people aren't doing that. You feel like you have to hide it. Other people are asking you, why are you blinking like that and scrunching up your face? And no one has told you why. You hear other people asking about it. You hear people calling your house and your parents saying that it's a phase. And you start telling people that you have allergies because you know that you're allergic to pollen, so maybe this is part of it. It can feel like your body is betraying you. Everything felt good before this, except when you're sick. And now it's like you're permanently sick. And that's similar with physical, except there's more different kinds of pain, which can be debilitating in a very different way. Can't move your arms, can't move your body, can't eat the same foods, can't go to the bathroom, have no energy, can't walk, don't have, or have a complete different kind of disability where you don't have limbs, or unable to see or smell or hear. I mean, all of these things, the options of this are tremendous. The same amount of functions that I was able to prompt you to list about all the things we could potentially be appreciative and grateful for are all things you can lose or have a different way to operate with, to mutate, to experience in a different way. You can be blind, you can be colorblind with different colors, you can have a hand with 5 fingers, with 4 fingers, with 3 fingers, with 6. You know? It's all different. It can all be different. Hold on. And when you feel like your body has betrayed you, the idea of being appreciative for it, when you see what other people can do or have, can feel obnoxious. It's like, I don't know. I don't think I need an analogy. I mean, maybe it's like watching a white man go in and not need to, or watching a white man do the exact same thing that a black man does and not get pulled over, and then telling the black man to be appreciative for what he has. You know, I don't know. I guess I'm just saying, like, I understand that the idea of privilege that exists in an able body or someone without a mental illness is a lot. And if you do have that ability, then know it. And if you don't, then you don't. And we can spend the rest of our lives angry, resentful, and grieving, with our fists up, complaining. Or we can be the best people that we can be with what we have. And I mean, I don't know, I see people who have become a paraplegic in an accident that wasn't their fault, who are now flying across the world and giving inspirational speeches, and they can't, put their clothes on. And then I see people who have a disorder or an illness, and I'm not saying that it's not difficult, believe me, I know. I have 12. But they use it as a reason to not try. And both of those options are your prerogative. But I believe that merriment makers will try as much as they can within their means. And it's really, really hard at first. And I guess that with body love, with body appreciation, if this is the block for you, if having a mental illness or a physical illness, a chronic pain, is the thing that is what you feel like is stopping you from being your best self, I think the first thing to do is to go into the specific symptoms and get management for them if that's not happening. Because if you can get treatment in terms of medicine, therapy, physical therapy, pain management, whatever is available to you, that is what needs to be dealt with first. Like, we're looking at the hierarchy of needs, and we need like basic needs met first. So you won't be able to make any headway with any sort of intellectual reframing if you are in, extra pain than you need to be in. Once you have done that and gotten a second opinion, because maybe that doctor isn't the best doctor for you, Remember that doctors are people. Remember that doctors make mistakes. Remember that doctors are only giving you their best based on what is available to them on that day. So maybe what was given to you wasn't the best for you in your specific situation. Maybe they don't understand your special case. Maybe they don't understand your needs. So get a second opinion as well. If it's congruent with what the other person suggested, then follow through. If it's not, maybe try the other way too and see what works best for you. I don't believe in just taking one person's advice anymore. I always make sure that I get something else going. It doesn't mean I take it, but I weigh my options. I don't really, in terms of my health and my body and my mind, I don't fuck with the first proposal anymore. So get at least two pieces of advice, 2 plans of action for how to manage not like in terms of an instant situation, how to manage it instantly, how to manage it long term. And then you need a schedule for how to actually take part in that, because it can't just be a medicine that you take every day as like a pain reliever, because that's not something that's going to be long term. For example, if it's a mental illness, like taking medicine is good for me, and I will probably need something for the rest of my life. I've downgraded how much medicine I take over time, but I will probably need something. However, doing trauma therapy and cognitive behavioral therapy, those are things, and TMS, those are things that were long treatments, that were intensive treatments, that actually created much more space in my brain than just like a daily pill will. And then with physical stuff, I would recommend looking at something like that as well. So is there something in terms of whatever there's too many examples to give because there's so many particular ailments that could be your situation, but like, is there physical therapy that you could do? Is there a surgery that you could have? Is there some sort of long-term treatment that you could do, or one-time treatment? You know what I mean? Like, ask the doctor. I like to do this too. Ask the doctor what they would do if they were you, or what they would do if you were their daughter. Their advice shifts sometimes because they stop and they think. And it's crazy because that's the advice they should have been giving. But I like to ask that in the middle of the session. After they've given me what they say, I'm like, okay, and what would you do if this was you? And what would you do if I was your daughter? This is the same thing you would tell me if I was your daughter? And sometimes they'll say, look, there's this guy, there's this guy. And take a notepad. You want to write stuff down and get a long-term plan, because a lot of people leave medical offices with like confusion. You need to understand what the daily plan is for your medicine, for your treatment, for your follow-ups. What is happening? Like, what is really happening here? Are you leaving here with just like, you're getting a script and that's all that is? Because doctors are in and out really fast. They have a lot of patients. So I want you to command their attention. I want you to be an advocate, and I want you to be assertive for your pain, your health, your future. And I want you to say, hold on, I want to make sure that I have everything right here. Go through it. If you have questions, ask them. This is your chance. This is your time. And I want you to say, okay, so first I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. And then if I have something that goes wrong with this, I would do what? Okay. And if I have any questions, what's the best way for me to reach out to you in between appointments? Is there a portal, or what I call online, like a message system, or would I call you? Would I email you? How would that work? And if this doesn't work, what is your best next step course of action? If they say, we'll cross that bridge when they come to it, say, I'd actually like to talk about it now, just in case. Force it. Insurance is a whole thing. When we were getting into other like logistics that aren't really about body positivity, but look, there are options. I'm in America. There's 100 countries, 100 more. And honestly, if you're in a place that has healthcare, you're also of privilege, right? Unfortunately, it shouldn't be, but it is. And but in America, there are options for lower income healthcare. There's the Affordable Care Act. Where was I making a list for this? What was this for? I just made a list. I can't remember. I'm trying to think if it's online or not. But there are multiple ways to access healthcare or sliding scale or stuff, but do not let logistics be the reason that you are stuck. Look at options, turn over stones, ask, go to clinics. I mean, like, seriously, try. If you want to ask me or you want to set up an appointment, please do that. But really think about daily and a more intense treatment, long term, set up appointments with doctors. And then I want you to look at a reframe of your situation. Because like I said, there are people who have lost all their limbs or who have been in constant pain every day, who are now living the life that they can best dream of in their current situation and reality. And if you had to pick between their situation and your situation, you would probably pick your problems every day. You know what I mean? And I want you to give yourself some perspective, give yourself some gratitude, give yourself some understanding that sometimes the reason that we're not moving is because of us. Sometimes the reason that we are in our own way is because we're in our own way. Sometimes we get to the point where our motivation is really low because we are depressed, because we are in pain, and that is super fucking reasonable. It really is. The systems are really sad and septic. And I can't come to all of your houses and boot camp you. So it's up to you to move, you know? I was talking to somebody recently about their situation and how they were, what they could have done in the past 6 months or a year to create options for themselves and what's available to them based on their chronic illness and pain level, which is definitely different than it was for them 10 years ago. But they're not completely, they're not limited exclusively by any means. That they could have an income with a different kind of job that works from home, and which, we are very lucky that that's an option for us these days, right? And I was asking, like, why can I, and it's a touchy thing, why has that not happened? And they said, no reason except myself. And it's difficult to admit that, and it's difficult to respond to that as well. But I want to let you know that if that's the thing that is happening for you, we can't just, don't live in shame about it. Don't do anything else. Just say, like, all right, we're moving on. That's what it was for a really long time. That's what happened. And I was in my own way, and now I'm choosing not to be. You can't get it back. You can't get the time back. And now we're doing it again. We're just changing our minds. You can change your mind about how you want to dress. You can change your mind about what you want your body to look like. And you can change your mind about how much action you're taking every day at all points of the day. So yes, it makes a difference when you change your perspective. When you, like, remember I mentioned those seeds of, like, somebody throwing perspective seeds at you? Well, this might be yours. This might be somebody saying, like, is it time for you to not use this as the reason that you are going to stay on the couch today? Maybe. Oh, hey, Trine. And believe me, I hurt my knee and I broke my tibia and I tore my MCL on my meniscus. And I know that's not the same as having like fibromyalgia or something, right? Like I get that. And also the things that I see people do who have similar chronic illnesses to that, where they are online all day, right? Typing and using a mouse and a keyboard all day, are very similar to data entry or administrative work that could be done very part-time, and you would have a similar job, remote, hybrid, or just remote. And the amount of physicality that you'd be using is very similar. And that's all I'm saying. And you could go in with the understanding that you do have a similar or a chronic illness, and you could do that. But if you use that as an excuse of I could never, then you won't ever. I believe that we have to believe that things are possible, that there is a change, and that maybe if we start, things will open up for us. That things will make room and maybe get better instead of atrophy. And maybe right now, this is the first time you're having this seed thrown at you and you're going to reject it, and that's okay. And then I hope that the next time that you hear it, you will hear it in a different way and be like, oh, maybe that is for me. And then the next time that you hear it, you're like, okay, maybe it's time. Let's see. Okay, so other ideas for tangible tips for body positivity, body love, body acceptance, body whatever, is mirror work. Mirror work is a really great tool for loving and changing your relationship with your body. And slowly over time, you can kind of build how much you're actually looking in the mirror. And it's really just like either looking in the mirror or saying positive affirmations to your own reflection. You can also tap in the mirror, EFT. And you can also practice saying compliments to yourself or just receiving and accepting compliments. We find it really difficult to accept compliments when we're in a state of low body appreciation, image, love, especially when they're about our bodies because we don't believe them ourselves. You know, so instead of deflecting them or correcting them, just say thank you. And then to take it a step further, you could actually log them and write them down and say them to yourself later or just read them. You can also try to cover up the mirror and your scale. So if you're not ready to start mirror work, you can, or just another mirror, you know, you could use a different mirror for mirror work and the mirror in your bathroom or wherever you might be hyper looking in the mirror. You can cover that one up and cover up your scale. If you are somebody that like is hyper fixated on appearance, then you can just cover it up and write "you are beautiful" on it instead. The only diet you need is a mirror diet. And also you can have health goals that are not involving weight. You know, I mentioned like making sure that we are moving our bodies and that we don't want to have a toxic body positivity relationship and that we don't want to, you know, blast that over body appreciation and make it think that like we're disassociating or avoiding, you know, health. And you can still have goals related to health, right? You do want that. You do want like, maybe it is your blood work, or maybe it's about eating more vegetables or exercising or something like, but instead we tend to like focus on dieting and losing X amount of pounds. So health is like a really general umbrellative term. Umbrellative? I was trying to say umbrella and relative at the same time for all of us. And instead of saying I want to lose this many pounds, you could just say like, I want to eat these kinds of foods that give me more energy, or create a specific movement practice. And if you do end up losing weight in the process, then Okay, if that's something that you like, okay, cool. But you really want to look at health as something that makes you feel alive and keeps you feeling good as long as possible because you want to be alive as long as possible. And yeah, I think that's where I'll keep this. So, your official homework is to find a body positive affirmation, a body appreciation affirmation, and either post it on your wall or journal it 15 times or both. And then I want you to pick number 2 is I want you to pick a body part and every day this week, like a different body part every day this week, and write 3 things that you like about it or 3 things that you're grateful for about it. It's kind of like gratitude journaling, but it's more specific for your body. So Monday, you can do your stomach, and Tuesday, you can do your kidneys, and Wednesday, you can do your forehead, just keep going. And then the third thing is to take a selfie where you feel good or pretty or whatever you want to call it. And you can tag me in it and I'll share it and comment on it. And then if you want the bonus thing, my Merriment Making Missions deck is the one that I drew was kiss yourself in the mirror, naked. Naked's in parentheses, that's a bonus. Okay, so that's where we are. And, oh, I just forgot to change the slides. This week's homework. I told you already. And I also took a picture of the deck. I'm very prepared. I'm just not moving along the slides. Okay, so remember to like, subscribe, share, like the chat, like the video, like the channel, like subscribe to the things, do all those things. And don't forget that we have the Valentine's workshop this Wednesday, February 14th at 3 p.m. You can join for free at uncustomary.org or just go to uncustomary.org/Valentine workshop and I will see you there. There's all the information that you need there. And yeah, thank you so much. This was a long one, but it's an important one. And there are more resources on body love, body positivity, all these things in my membership group, the Merriment Makers at uncustomary.org. That's where the hub is of everything, /merriment-makers. And I also have another group now that's it's actually much more inexpensive, and that's uncustomary.org/feel-good-troop. All of these things can be found at uncustomary.org, and yeah, there's a whole module on body love, and there's a masterclass that you can get in the Feel Good Troop. And yeah, I love you. You are beautiful. You are wonderful. You are worthy. And remember that you have to feel good to do good. I will see you not this Monday, but next Monday for our next Merriment Mondays live on February 26th at 12 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to be talking about motivation. Alrighty.